Florida governor and struggling presidential candidate Ron DeSantis is in hot water after his state passed new teaching standards for middle school social studies teachers. Here's what happened. Apparently, a section about the duties and trades performed by enslaved people in the curriculum, the state adopted a clarification that said, quote, instruction includes how slaves develop skills which in some instances could be applied for their personal benefit, end quote. This is something that Vice President Kamala Harris was not happy at all about.
Just yesterday in the state of Florida, they decided middle school students will be taught that enslaved people benefited from slavery. They insult us in an attempt to gaslight us, and we will not stand for it.
When asked about that decision, Governor Ron DeSantis did not take credit for the ruling, but he also kind of defended it.
I didn't do it, and I wasn't involved in it. But I think what they're doing is I think that they're probably going to show some of the folks that eventually parlayed, being a blacksmith into doing things later in life. But the reality is, all of that is rooted in whatever is factual.
All of that is rooted in whatever is factual. So I guess he's saying that it's right. And then we have the AI version of Tucker Carlson, mother's embarrassment, as we'll start calling him after last week's show. Jesse Waters pulled actually on his show with noted alcoholic and failed TV judge Janine Pirro, and this is what he had to say.
He says this right here. This is well documented among historians. This is historical fact that slaves did develop skills while they were enslaved and then used those skills as blacksmiths, as in agriculture, tailoring, in the shipping business, to then use to benefit themselves and their families once they were freed. That's not controversial. And it actually speaks to the resilience and the aptitude of the enslaved African Americans who were at the time able to better themselves and able to improve their situation, despite brutal conditions, horrific and abhorrent conditions.
And wrapping up the DeSantis news, his campaign mishaps continued this morning when he was in a motorcade accident. His car heading into a campaign event was involved in a four-car pileup, I should say. Fortunately for him, he was uninjured in the fracas. Guys, Ron DeSantis, how do you feel about this whole move? Tom, I'm interested in you as someone who works near the schools, someone who might have something to say about Florida's new curriculum.
The one thing I will say is there are people who are extremely shocked by the direction that this is going. But what I will say is, quiet as it's kept, they're not putting that in the curriculum. They're putting it back in the curriculum because it was already there. It was removed in the last couple years because people were like, wait a minute, what does this say? And now these things are being put back into the curriculum. And so I'm glad that our attention is on it. I don't think it will survive very long. I'm hoping that this is a lesson to parents to always be mindful of what your kids are being taught, and always teach your kids at home the things that they need to know about life and history. It's really important that you partner with schools and not rely 100% on schools to give information to your student, because as much as we try to filter out nut jobs in the classroom, they are there. And it's important that your kids are able to question. And I always teach my kid to question authority, even my own thing. If my kid says why or why do I have to do that, I answer her, because kids should grow up to question authority and question the things that they're hearing and think critically. And when people are just presenting that, it's like, oh, you're indoctrinating kids. Your kids should not be easily indoctrinated, because they should have you to have this stuff and take it home and say, Mom, my teacher said this in school. What are your thoughts about this? Or what is this? Or what does this mean? And they should have a knowledge base from home to be able to stand up against some of that stuff that they're hearing. So I hope this is a lesson to people, just to not say, I'm going to send my kids to school and not be mindful of what they're learning. Just go to school and get good grades. It's really important that you interact with the curriculum that your kids are learning. So hopefully you learned that from this incident.
All right, next on the panel we have, good God.
I don't think this has anything to do with children at all. I do understand.
What are you talking about?
I don't think this has anything to do with kids or curriculum at all. I think what they do is they put this out there in that way, because like you can't say we're going to teach this to adults. Like you have to throw it out there like, oh, we're going to teach this to kids, and then it blows up. Now Kamala Harris and Fox News are talking about it, and it doesn't matter that kids can push back on this or whatever, because now the adults are going to run with this. Now the same adults that with the vaccine stuff and the MAGA stuff, like they're going to now run with this, and now their whole thing is going to be like, well, you benefited from slavery. These are the benefits from slavery. Like, this is the reason why they're doing this. They're not doing this to do anything to these kids. They're doing this to put this out there to the earth, to the world, for everybody else to argue over. And I think it's going to work, to be honest with you, because like as soon as it hits mainstream media,
I can't see that. Really?
Say it again.
You think more states are going to adopt this? Because even when DeSantis was kind of pressured, like he kind of backed down a little bit. Oh, this was it was.
Yeah, and it's not even one of those things like adopting it into schools. I'm telling you, it's really just saying it out loud, like the replacement theory. You just say it out loud and loud enough, and you have the right people saying it, and then people run with it. Like they literally threw that out there, the replacement theory, and then there were rallies and stuff about that. And literally, you're just throwing it out there. You're just throwing it to the wall, hope it sticks. The most extreme thing possible, even the transgender stuff. You throw that stuff against a wall, and then it starts to stick. Oh, they're having transgenders read to students. They weren't caring about those students. They just wanted to attack transgender people. And what they consistently do is throw this stuff against a wall because it's the Donald Trump method, and it works.
Yep. See what sticks, right?
I like that. I agree with that. I agree with that. I do think they do this stuff on purpose so that we can argue about it, but it also, once it's out there, right? So you can say, so that can be an argument like that guy whose mom last week told him to shut up literally is out here saying, like, this is a documented fact. Slaves learn from the enslaved learn, and he's even using the language, because now we don't say slaves anymore, we say the enslaved. So he's using the language and now gaslighting people to say, like, this is well documented. Well, of course, enslaved people had skills. The point is, the skills did not benefit them. It benefited their master.
Now, I will say, though, this is the first time I've heard Kamala Harris speak in about 4 years, and she was on point with this one.
Don't do that. Kamala, the mom. We're not going to allow you to do that to her.